everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to do another fun block in Kimberbell's Candy Corn Quilt Shop quilt. Is everyone having fun with this project? I know I am. Can't wait to do this next one. Today's block we're going to be working on the Sit and Stitch a Spell couch. This is going to be a real fun one. You're building up your skills, gaining more and more confidence with applique. This one's going to be a fun touch, and you're going to feel really proud when you get this one done. Okay, because this one we're going to use for the first time in this project an iron away topping that we're going to be using on top of that velveteen. So this is going to be fun. So I need you to grab your pouch system or plastic bag system that has your fabrics that you have set aside for the Stitch and Sit a Spell block. I'm also going to need you to grab your embellishment kit, because we're going to make sure that we have the mustard velveteen and the Kimberbell flexi foam as well. Make sure you have a piece of the iron away topping. We're going to be dealing with that as well, and I'll walk you through everything. It's going to be fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab all those items, head over to the machine, and I'll meet you over there. All right, you guys ready to start the Sit and Stitch couch? I am. I'm excited to see what this looks like with the flexi foam and the velveteen. Very exciting. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to load the designs onto your machine. Now, I have a Brother Dream machine just for reference. So we're going to click Embroidery, and I'm going to go to the flash drive. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Candy Corn, and I'm going to bring up the quilting designs. Now, I'm able to, on my machine, to take the quilting designs and then add the applique designs on top. But if you can't do that with your machine, that's okay. What you're going to do is you're going to bring up the quilting design first. You're going to stitch it out. Then you're going to clear the memory of your machine. And then you're going to bring up the applique design and you're going to stitch that out. Easy peasy. No worries if you can't add like this. It's not a problem. The only benefit to adding one on top of another is it saves a couple steps. That's all. Okay, if you're following along in Kimberbell's instruction booklet, we are on page 35 and page 36. So go ahead and flip to 36, and I want you to find where it shows the squared finished block size. And in the very top left, it says, under trimming instructions, square finished block to 8.5 by 6.5. That's the magic number, 8.5 by 6.5. So the design I want to bring in is going to be an 8 by 6, which is right here. They call it 6 by 8, because we're going to stitch this block to the side. All right. So the trick is always bring in your quilting design that is just smaller than your finished up block, in this case 8.5 by 6.5. With seam allowances, you want the quilting design to be your 8 by 6. So it's perfect. So we click Set. Now we're going to click Add, and we're going to go back to the flash drive, go back to Candy Corn, and where I have the main quilt. And we're looking for the applique of the couch. This is what we're looking for. Sit, Stitch a Spell. Sit and Stitch a Spell. Isn't that cute? I cannot wait to see this. All right, so we're going to click Set. Brings it in. Oh, that's going to be adorable. So don't need to move it or do anything. So we're going to click Embroidery. All right, we're ready to go. So now let's go to the hoop cam. Here we are. I have put a piece of poly no-show mesh cutaway stabilizer into the hoop so that we are ready to go. I'm using my 8 by 12 hoop because this design is 8.5 by 6.5. If you have a 6 by 10 hoop, it'll work. My dream machine did not come with that. It has the 4 by 4, the 5 by 7. Then I purchased an 8 by 8. And then it came with an 8 by 12 and I think a 9 by 14. It did not come with a 6 by 10. If you have a 6 by 10 hoop, by all means use it. If you're like me with a Dream Machine or a Destiny, you will have to use your 8 by 12 hoop, okay? So I've got plenty of bobbin thread down below, and we're going to be using this fabric coming up here if you're using the fabric from the kit, which is that kind of slightly off-white with the little hatch marks. So I'm going to go ahead and put white thread in the top of my machine, and we're going to stitch the first several stitches in white, and the first stitch is going to be the placement line for your batting. So you ready to go? Foot down. Let's stitch out the placement line. Okay, so now we're going to lay down the batting, all right, like this, and we're just going to make sure that we cover my other threads off here, cover the placement line on all sides, and we are good. So let's either tape it or hold it down like I do, but keep your fingers away from the moving needle, and let's tack down the batting. Nice. Okay, so let's take the hoop off the machine. Let's take it over to the table, and we want to trim away all this excess batting. Okay, that batting is trimmed up nicely. So let's also leave the white thread in the top of the machine, because now we can stitch out the placement line for the fabric. And here we go. Okay, so now let's lay the fabric down on top and just kind of eyeball center it. You don't have to mark it like it says in the instructions, because they've allowed plenty of fabric for each side. So I just center it eyeballed, making sure I've got enough on each side and plenty on top, and we are good to go. It's good practice to center and mark your fabric, but in this project you actually don't have to, because Kimberbell has been rather generous in the sizes. And all this is going to get trimmed away anyway. So you can see here by the batting where the cutaway line is going to be. So we have plenty of fabric on each side. Okay, so let's go ahead and tack down the fabric. White thread still on top. Looking good. You're getting the hang of this, huh? Isn't this fun? All right, so now one of my favorite parts, we're going to stitch out the quilting design. Now, because this block is going to be rather heavy and busy on the applique, we got a big couch, we got a broom, and we got the word sit and stitch a spell underneath it. So I kind of don't want all the quilting to take away from that. I want it to add to it, but have a subtle background feel. So I'm going to quilt this one with white thread on top, give a nice little contrast to the off-white. It will allow the couch to be the main center of attention. So I'm going to put my foot down, leave white thread up on top, and we're going to quilt out the design. It's an 8-minute stitch out in real time. So we'll fast forward and enjoy quilting the quilt stitches. Very nice. I could watch that quilting all day. It's very relaxing. It takes all the stress away, you know, just watching it quilt. Okay, you ready for the next step? The next step is to stitch the flexi foam placement line. Now, in your embellishment kit, you should have some flexi foam left over from parts of the project already. And they did give us 2 sheets, so we have plenty. I think I might be able to get the couch out of the last of this first piece. I haven't dived into my second piece yet, so I think I might be able to get it out of this. But what we're going to do is we're going to stitch the placement line for this. Okay, and ultimately we're going to be stitching a velveteen. Let's get the velveteen fabric here. We're going to be stitching this down. Okay, so I need to find a thread. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. That's going to match this. And I can go ahead and put this thread in the top of the machine now. Reason being is it's going to, number one, not be seen because it's all going to be underneath until we get to the velveteen. It's going to be in the placement line. It's going to be on flexi foam, and you won't see it. And then we'll use this to tack down the velveteen. The interesting thing is it'll make it easier to see the placement line and also easier to cut out the flexi foam if you have a thread color in the top of the machine now other than white. Okay, because white in the flexi foam will be a little bit challenging to cut out. So let's go ahead and put the gold in here, which is what we're going to use to tack down the velveteen eventually. I want to go put that thread in the top of the machine right now. So now we're good. We've got the light gold thread in the top of the machine. And let's go ahead and stitch out the placement line for the couch. This is getting exciting. Oh, totally. See, it's much easier to see. It's harder to see on camera, but in person, it's much easier to see that gold. And I can definitely use this piece of flexi foam. Now realize it's going to be a tight fit from one end to the other. Okay, but it will work. I've got about 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm just going to gently scoot it across and then double check that I have got at least 1/4 inch on the bottom. My side is good. And I actually do this, position it, scroll up, and then over. So I make sure I have plenty. Are we ready? All right, let's hold it down with the stylus, or you can tape it, whichever your preference is. Let's tack down the flexi foam. Perfect. So now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, take this over to the table, and I want to trim close but not on. I want to trim just close to the edge of the flexi foam. I don't want to nick those stitches because that's helping keeping this flexi foam in place. I accidentally nicked one the other day and it wasn't a big deal because I only nicked one and it was able to still hold it. But try to trim as close as you can without nicking those stitches. And let's get the excess flexi foam off of this block. Okay, that wasn't too bad. We got that trimmed up nicely. Hoop back on the machine. Now we're going to stitch out the placement line for the velveteen. So I'm still going to use that light gold thread that's in the top of the machine. foot down and let's stitch it out. This is getting even more exciting. All right, now for the fun part. Now we're going to lay down the velveteen fabric that is in the Kimberbell embellishment kit. Now the instructions tell you to make sure that you've got the nap of the fabric laying down from the top of the couch down to the couch cushions. And you can literally feel it. If you rub one way, you can feel more resistance. If you rub the other way, it's nice and smooth and lays down nicely. This direction you want to be the top, so the nap is laying down. All right? So once you've got that there, you're going to position this with plenty of space around it. Because of the flexi foam, you don't want to cut it too close because this material may shift during the stitching. So you want to allow a little bit more than what I would normally be comfortable allowing, because I don't want any movement. And I want to make sure that this has got plenty of coverage. So I'm allowing at least a 1/2 inch, see, on the sides here and on the bottom, so that I don't have a movement issue, because it does have to go a little bit up and down because of the flexi foam. All right, you ready? Again, make sure your nap is going down toward the bottom, with this being the top. All right, we are ready. So let's use the stylus and put the foot down, gold threads on top. Let's tack down this velveteen. Nice, okay, and I can put the nap right back down. Perfect. All right, so now we need to take this to the table, and we need to trim the velveteen really close to that stitch line. Okay, we're going to just trim all this excess velveteen away. Let's go to the table. So if you noticed, when I was done cutting, I used a piece of tape to try to clean up some of the little scraps, because I didn't want that to get all nested up in the next step of the embroidery. And velveteen tends to ravel pretty quickly. So just be careful when you're doing the tape, so you get the edges clean and get all the little ones off. I had one little runner, but it wasn't too bad that raveled, so we are good. But the tape will help you clean up a little bit and prevent those loose pieces from getting stuck in the next step of the embroidery. Okay, so what I want to do now is, because we got a big stitch out coming, so I want to take a look at my bobbin. And it's not too bad. It's about half full, a little less than that. I don't think it's enough to get through a long 30-minute stitch out. So I am going to just take the initiative at this point to put in a new bobbin, whoops, so that I won't have, hopefully, I won't have any issues in the next stitch out. And I'll use this one later. I could use it up later, not a problem. But that way I set myself up for success, and hopefully, whoops there, getting through this next stitch out without having any issues. Okay, so now we have got a big stitch out. This is the 30-minute in real life stitch out of the entire couch outline. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put black thread in the top of the machine. Okay, once you've done that, the second thing we want to do is we want to put down a piece of iron away topper. Okay, this is going to help prevent damage to the velveteen with all this stitching that we're going to do. And I want to tape this one because this has a lot of stitching to do. So I'm going to tape it using a piece of embroidery tape with plenty, actually I'm going to take this out, of space up and down. Give it plenty up on top. There we go. And this tape is cool too. It's embroidery tape so that it doesn't leave a residue. It doesn't stick to anything else. And then when you're done, even if it's stitched through it, it's easily torn away from the block. It's very easy. Okay, in fact, we're going to move it up a little bit so that I'm a little bit further away from the tapestry, from the velveteen. All right. And if this gets crinkled up a little bit, it's okay because this is literally going to be ironed away. So there won't be anything left of it by the time that we are done. Okay? But this will at least hold it in place while we get the first part of the stitching done. And that's the whole purpose behind it. I'll probably still guide it a little bit with the stylus only because that's force of habit. But I think that will do nicely. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the hoop back in. And mind you, all of this is going to be torn away at the end, so we don't need to worry about that. So now we are ready. We got black thread up on top. We've got our iron away topping in position. Now we're going to stitch the outline of the couch. Again, this is a 30-minute stitch out in real life. So just take your time and sit back, relax. I'm going to fast forward through this so you can all see what it looks like. Ready? Here we go. Okay, it's hard you can see, it made a little bit of a hiccup right here and missed a stitch, and then it kept on going. So what I want to do is I want to stop and fix this right now while I can. All right, so it's really easy. All we're going to do is I'm going to go back to the screen. I'll show you. Okay, you zoom out here. Okay, so I need to go back in time to where that stitch point is, which is right up here on this leg. So there's a button down here that says stitch plus or minus, and I'm going to do a negative on this button. I'm going to go back in time until that part happened. If you go back to the hoop so you can see it move. And I don't mind if there's double stitching on this rest of the part. You're really not going to notice it, but I definitely want to fix that. So I'm going to go back 10s, and you can see it moving backwards to where I need to be. I'm going to keep going, pardon the beeping. I don't want to get before that. Okay. I want to get to right about there. That's where the hiccup started. And I could hear the hiccup in the so-called engine a little bit. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go all the way back up here. I'm going to make this whole leg double stitch so it will be one, so you really won't notice it at all, rather than just part of it. So I'm going to go all the way back up. I just hold the button down to right about there. That'll be good. And then I am just ready to put the foot down and continue. But that's the way that I can go back and fix that problem and fill it back in with black stitches before we go any further. So let's continue on. Okay, I broke a needle. It was so close. Alright, so this is what we do when we break a needle. It's not a problem. We're going to deal with it. You see this part? Actually, the needle bent. So it looks like maybe the thread was too tight up on top. And so it bent it, and then it broke it. There's the bent needle. Okay, well, that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take everything out, and we're going to replace the needle, and we're going to finish up. This happens from time to time. Breaking needles is part of the embroidery process. It's not a fun one, but it's okay. It's something that happens no matter how experienced we are or not. It's going to happen to all of us multiple times during our embroidery career. So we just need to know how to fix it. So the first thing to do is I'm using 7511 needles. So I'm going to come in here and get my new one out. I use Oregon needles. I find that my dream machine really likes those. So those are the ones that I prefer to use. It makes the dream happy, and if the dream's happy, I'm happy. So let's put those back up. All right, so now let's get the broken piece out of here safely. Then I'm going to use my little brother tool to get this part of the needle out of here. Okay, and there it is. So what's left of it. So then I'm going to go ahead and put the needle back, new needle back in, and go ahead with the flat part on the back, position it up. My finger's blocking this process, but there we go. Then I've already taken the thread off the top. So I'm going to undo this, trim the bobbin thread that's below, and I want to rethread this. The trick is when you have a thread break, you got to eliminate all the possibilities of it happening right up again when you put a new needle in. So I always redo the bobbin, redo the top thread, get everything back clean so that the machine has a fresh place to start with its brand new needle. Okay, now I'm going to put the hoop back on, and it's going to be difficult to see where we left off, but it wasn't that far away. So let's go to the screen cam here. Here we go. And I'm still on the backward steps from the last time. So I want to go ahead and just go back. Let's say 10, 20, 30, 40 should be enough. So let's go back to the hoop cam. So I know the break happened somewhere around here. So I've moved back to here so we can secure the threads and continue on the stitch. So let's go. We got this. Yeah, you did it. I didn't trim it right off the bat. That's okay. We'll just go back and trim it. Not bad, huh? Okay, and I can see that the thread is twisting. So I'm going to take this off again and rethread it one more time. Everything looks good, but I don't like it when the thread twists like that. Actually, we get to change thread anyway. We're going to not do black anymore. We're going to do the gold because it's time to do the tufting on the couch. So I'm going to do mine in gold. So let's go ahead and rethread the machine with the gold. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. Okay. So everybody's good. All right, so this is just a 1 minute stitch out. And we'll go ahead and do this. But this is another one of the things that I wanted to mention. When doing a big stitch out like this, I never leave the machine. I always stay with it, even if I'm 2 feet away. But most of the time I'm sitting right in front of it and I'm doing something else while I watch it stitch. Because if something like that happened, I'm here to hit this button within a few seconds to stop it from having further damage to either the machine or to the block. So I always hang around when it's doing its stitching. I never leave it. All right, so let's do the tufting on the back of the couch. Oh, I love that. And we did it. We survived! Yay! Okay, so let's take this over to the table, and I want to tear away the excess of the iron away topping. Okay, the first thing I want to do is remove the tape. This tape is pretty good to reuse once or twice after this, and then it loses its stickiness. So I usually put that aside to use again later. Okay, the trick is you can just tear some of this iron away topping away. We want to go and try to get as much of this excess torn away as possible before we have to go in to the center. Now this will iron away as well, so any of the excess will dissolve when we put an iron, and I do use a pressing sheet as well to make sure that I don't cause any damage to the applique part of the block, because you don't want that. Alright, we're just going to rip. Should have just cut that. Get that piece out of the way. Okay, so now I can focus on just ripping away the excess. And what's really cool about both this type iron away, and there's also a kind of a wet be gone, or a wet away as well, which you can use on other projects, is that both of these will just really tear away very easily. This one they recommend the heat because you really don't want to get the velveteen all wet, and the flexi foam. So an iron away is the best option for this one. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so I got all that down here. Now we're going to get the excess away from inside. Unless you want the look kind of like your grandma used to have, where we had the plastic covered couches. That's cool too. So I'm just going to go ahead and very gently take a seam ripper to get this started. Okay, doesn't take much. Just get the seam ripper, and it will help you do most of the work. And then again, it's going to come off in pieces around the tufting. Okay, very nicely. Just again, ripping it along the edge, getting this part up very nicely. And then I'll go in and again use the seam ripper just to kind of help tear it. Doesn't take much. Alright, so let's fast forward while I do the rest. Isn't that amazing? Now, if you didn't get all of the iron away topper, don't worry about it, because when we're all done, you can go ahead with the pressing sheet and just iron away the rest of it, and with the heat it'll just dissolve. It'll be all good. So that looks amazing. So let's continue on. We got a few more stitches to add some accents to this couch. So let's put purple thread up on the top of the machine, and we're going to stitch out the broom handle fill. Okay, so purple up on top, foot down, and here comes the broom handle. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to do the broom bristles, and it's suggesting a lighter gold for the bristles, and then we can switch to a darker gold, kind of like for an accent. So I'm going to use the same color I used on the tufting of the couch. I think that would be a very nice broom bristle, and then I'll do a darker gold for the next step. So let's put this thread at the top of the machine. Okay, I threaded my machine and I got one of those loops. So I'm coming in here to get rid of that loop, because that loop could definitely wrap around and break a needle as well. So let's get rid of that loop. Okay, gold threads up on top, foot down, and let's stitch out the broom bristles. Very nice, a golden broom. So now I'm going to put a slightly darker gold thread in the top of the machine to give it some accent. Okay, let's stitch out the accents. Nice. Okay, we've only got one color change left, but you're like, wait, we got 2 steps left. We're going to put black thread up on top, and then we're going to stitch out the band of the broom, and then we're going to stitch out the lettering on the bottom, all in black. Okay, so the next 2 steps, we're going to use black thread on top. Okay, so here comes the band around the broom, all in black. That was easy. Got a little straggler thread that we can take care of. Nice. Now we are at the last step, everybody. You're almost there. We're going to stitch out the words sit and stitch a spell. It's a 4-minute stitch out, so we'll fast forward through this, but black thread up on top. You ready? Foot down and let's do it. You did it! Yay! Look at that. Another successful block. Now this one was a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more of a workout for both us and the machine, but look at that. You did it. You absolutely did it. I love it. So let's take this block over to the table and let's finish it up. I just love this. I just think that is worth all the effort that we put into that. Turned out awesome. All right, so let's go ahead, take this out of the hoop, give the hoop a rest. All right, and I think we have a jump stitch to take care of between the and sign and the S, and another little one between the P and the E. Okay, those are gone. Everything else looks good. I even got most of the iron away topping gone out of this. But what I'll do is at the very end, when I'm pressing all of my other glitter sheets, I'll just run an iron along this one as well, just to see if there's any more remnants there, but you really can't see it luckily because it's clear, but we'll make sure that it's all gone at the end. That'll be one of the last steps that we do. Okay, so now we are going to trim up this block. Okay, this block is going to be, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.5 inches this way, and it's going to be 6.5 inches this way. 1 2 3 4 5 6.5, right on. So let's trim this up with a regular ruler this time. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for these outer stitch lines. If you've watched any of my other videos, I talk about these outer stitch lines, which are the tack down stitch for the fabric, as being Kimberbell's guide to where we need to trim this block up to. So my motto is, do I see the stitch line? Yes, I'm good to cut. If I'm over here, do I see a stitch line? No, don't cut. You always want to make sure that you're on that stitch line. So I want to land on it with the edge of the ruler, and then I want to go just a smidge to the left of that. First one, easy peasy. We're going to hold down the ruler and we're going to trim the block. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Now we're going to measure. Okay, so then I said this one is 8.5. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.5. So I can line my ruler mark up with this one, line it up with that one, make sure I'm on the edge, and you can see that the stitch line is underneath the ruler, so I can see the stitch line. Now it's a little funky because of the flexi foam. The ruler wants to kind of wobble, so I want to make sure I get my ruler lined up with the mat, and then I'm going to tilt it. And then as I'm tilting it, I'm going to see, yes, I can see that stitch line. Can I see it? Yes. Then I can cut it. Okay. Perfect on those two sides. We can, double check it. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.5. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing to this one. We're going to go to that outer stitch line. I go on it, and then I go just a smidgy to the left of it. Do I see the stitch line? Yes. I can cut it. Okay. That one's easy. Now we're going to measure. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6.5. Sure it's lined up. Put my ruler, match it to my mat. This one really isn't affected by the flexi foam. Double check it. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, it's underneath the ruler. I can see it. I can cut it. Just like that. And voila! You have the most adorable couch block I have ever seen. I love it. And I even love the fact that the broom looks like it's gold. Love it. Okay, so now one of my other favorite parts in doing this video is we are now going to put this together with all the other blocks that we've made so far. Let's see if I can get it all to fit. It's getting kind of close, huh? Yeah, getting kind of close fitting. Let's see here. Let's do that one there. We're just fitting the broom parking. All right. So then we have dress forms, and we have tombstones, and I'm running out of room. Hee hee. I love it. Look at all that you guys have done. Look at all these. Is this not amazing? Look at these. Take the dress form that way. Look at all these. Look at what you've done. Can everybody see them? Let's get it more positioned there. Look at what you've done. This is amazing. Great job, everybody. I hope you enjoyed making this couch block today like I did. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. You guys have built up your skills, building up your confidence. You've got this, and look what you were able to accomplish. Rock on. Okay, so I want to thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jolly Molly TV. It helps me do what I do for you. And while you're there, click the bell notifications so that you're notified every time I upload a video. And also click the like button because YouTube likes to know if people are liking the videos that we put out. So I am so proud of you. You did an awesome job. I look forward to seeing you here again on Jolly Molly TV for the next video in Kimberbell's Candy Corn Quilt Shop. So until then, I hope you have fun. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.